What up, fellow interneters and fellow YouTubers? My name is Brian, and I have the worst luck in this world sometimes. Exhibit A, warranty just expired too, and Exhibit B, my speakers just broke, so I'm using the microphone on my earphones. At the same time, I live inside and outside of a never-ending tunnel of boredomness, if that's even a word. With that being said, for both of them, I take that enjoyment of sharing that misery and displaying it into some form of entertainment for others. And statistically, nothing is more pleasurable than that for me. So please bear with me, for what is recording right now is the official cherry poppin' of my first YouTube video on the social network. Now, I'm not really one for doing this normally, just because I'm not the biggest fan of how my face falls, and I'm just as socially awkward as that dancing penguin from Happy Feet. So, I'll try my best. For my first video, I'd like to share with you the story of my first time. So my first time happened when I was about 15 years old. I remember holding myself up against a dark corner in my bedroom with the cold air emulating my presumed hard exterior. I became vulnerable, susceptible to ongoing trauma. At that time, that trauma mostly consisted of bullying. It may not seem like it's that detrimental to someone, but when it's your hand being dealt with, it's a whole different ball game to play. It came to a point where I was no longer able to cope with all these negative emotions and unnecessary anxious thoughts that kept harboring in my head. All these unresolved past and current stressors colliding all at once. What was initially emotionally painful at first became psychologically numbing to my whole entire being. Feeling the feeling of no actual feeling at all is one of the worst pains anybody could ever experience, and that's something that I would never wish upon someone. I then resorted to the only solution I knew of that could help me deal with this on my own terms. For the next 3 years of my life after that, since then, I resorted to self-harm. I started at the placement of my right wrist. And once one of the people I was most closest with at that time found out, I relocated to other discrete parts of my body. I was really young at the time. I was 15 and naive. All I wanted to do was fit in. But at the time, I was not aware of the detailed specifics, and I wasn't formally educated of what depression was, what social anxiety was, and general isolation. Though, if I were to put a word to what I was experiencing willingly alone, I would use those words exactly. Replacing the void of nothingness and filling it with numerous sharp turns and edges was the only gratification that I knew of without relying onto anyone else. And with that, it became the most darkest place that I knew of. However, it wasn't always like that. 5 years ago, I met a nice elderly woman at the grocery store that I used to work at. Her name was Jackie. Jackie was in one of the lines at the registers. She finished purchasing her items, and one thing I noticed about her is that she was laughing. She was filled with joy, and she was smiling. And she was also holding a red and white cane. she was visually impaired. And then she asked out loud if she was able to have someone assist her outside of the store into the mall and towards the exit where her following handicap van would be expected to pick her up. No one whom I worked with volunteered to assist this woman as it was not part of our policy to leave the premises. With that, and despite that, I felt this surge of responsibility to help someone in need, despite it being a stranger. It was an opportunity to know someone and help someone. I then proceedingly went out of my way to go against the rules and volunteer and help guide this woman arm in arm and towards her destination point. The 15-minute journey with this woman felt much more longer than that. I was given the privilege to know of this woman's life, her soul story. Jackie told me that she wanted to stop by a key engraving store on her way out, as she had an order to pick up, which was no big deal at all. It was on the way. Upon arriving at that location, she then received her purchased item. She then showed this treasured item to me, and the story she shared behind it made it much more beautiful to look at. Jackie told me that she became permanently blind when she was a younger adult. However, her husband that she was married to still remained at her side. There came a point in his time working with the army that he unfortunately lost both his legs and became unable to walk no more. Yet, this woman shared what sounded like to be the happiest moments of her life. She then held up against the reflection of the light that shined onto her keychain, which was a red and sterling silver heart with her name and her husband's name engraved into it with a cross in the center. It then hit me. This woman is permanently blind, yet she looked at life in the most beautiful way possible, and her husband had no legs to walk on, yet he remained happy and remained at his wife's side. If these two people can be just as this happy in life, so can I. That was one of the most inspirational and most positively impactful moments of my upbringing as an adult. I haven't seen Jackie since then, but to this day, I'm forever thankful. Following that same year, I was enrolled in an art history course at the university I currently attend, and that first week of classes, we were looking at symbols. One in particular resonated with me, and it was a spiral. And the way I see it, the spiral is a symbol that could be taken either negatively or positively, but most importantly, it displays the meaning of an endless journey. And that was one reminder that I wanted to stay with me for the rest of my life. As of yet, I still find myself working on completely ridding myself away from that dark place. Though I have now grown to always remind myself to count my blessings and to always laugh at the face of misery if it ever comes at me. Because of all this and more, I feel like I now have a social and personal obligation in towards helping those in similar situations. You know, at one of my jobs, I work at a record store, and as sad as it is to say, I've come across different customers, girls, boys, women, even men, with marks on their wrists, marks on their arms, marks that I'm too familiar with myself. By showing acknowledgement of this, we can help people understand negative social stigmas and what lengths people will go just to avoid those negative labels. Who knows, maybe in doing so, we can help save someone's life, for all we know. Prolonging someone's life expectancy by simply listening and talking to them may not sound that probable, but doesn't mean it's not possible. With the proper supports, I believe we could help prevent those we know from harming themselves, or even worse, and instead have them reach out to us instead. And if you are one of those who feel like this or have felt like this at one point, know that reaching out to someone is sharing a piece of your soul. And there is nothing more beautiful than that. So, what I shared so far is not something that I would normally share on a regular basis. It's much more emotional, if anything. And it's probably not something that you expected to hear with the title and everything. And I apologize for my sob story. Regardless of the fact, and with this, I feel like I can sleep much better at night knowing that I'm doing my part in raising the bar to help spread that awareness. To those of you who have reached to this point of the video, I'd just like to send my words of gratitude out to you by saying thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to this. My one goal for this channel to start of mine is to spread some important awareness and on some underlying issues that I personally feel the need to be brought to light, and to share that light with anyone who is in need of it. Other than that, I also feel like I just need a hobby other than eating, sleeping, studying, and reading. And to those of you who can relate to this, have been affected by something like this, or at least know someone close to you that was and is no longer here, know that my heart goes out to you, and I want you to keep on keeping on. So I'll finish off with a message in tribute to a recently passed legend of ours. Like Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek, who played as Spock, would always say, live long and prosper. Godspeed, friends. Bye. What? It's over 9,000. No?